Apple TV Plus's buzzy new mystery meets psychological thriller Disclaimer features an intriguing narration style that keeps viewers on their toes. Disclaimer focuses on successful documentary filmmaker Catherine Ravenscroft, Cate Blanchett, who receives a novel in the mail that details the true story of a deeply personal secret from 25 years earlier. The show marks acclaimed director Alfonso Cuarón's television debut, following his Academy Awards for 2013's Gravity and 2018's Roma. Catherine's secret is her previous affair with a 19-year-old Jonathan Brigstock, Louis Partridge, on an Italian beach vacation years earlier, while her husband Robert, Sacha Baron Cohen, was away on business. Jonathan drowned saving her toddler-aged son on the beach, and Catherine seemingly lied to local police about not knowing him personally. Disclaimer's alternating narration, relayed largely by Indira Varma, shows the characters' varying perspectives on Jonathan's untimely death and its aftermath. Indira Varma narrates Disclaimer, but who is the character? The show's literal disclaimer sows questions about its narrator. Disclaimer relies heavily on voiceovers, from the rare second-person point of view, which includes the use of you, associated with Catherine, and the first person from the late Jonathan's father, Stephen Brigstock, Kevin Kline, with the occasional third-person singular. There appears to be a second-person omniscient narrator voiced by Indira Varma, who is yet to appear in the show. The narrator acts as an inner voice for Catherine's thoughts, committing them to the audio form. Similarly to the show's source material, the 2015 novel Disclaimer by Renee Knight also includes a mysterious narrator, though the narrator's identity remains anonymous. Disclaimer has already altered the way that Catherine receives the book The Perfect Stranger, which the late Mrs. Brigstock penned about her son's tragic death. The show might also alter its narrator's backstory and have Varma appear as a fully fleshed-out character, though this remains unclear. Varma's narration voices Catherine's inner monologue, in which she laments about her son's lack of motivation in life, frequently blaming herself. She also voices Catherine's fears about her husband Robert's lack of experience prior to their relationship, and how it could be a source of resentment he maintains towards her. Kevin Kline Stephen narrates Disclaimer in the first person. Stephen Brigstock makes his revenge plot clear through his narration. Stephen leaning over a table at a fancy restaurant in Disclaimer. Stephen's thoughts are narrated aloud by Kevin Kline rather than Varma's mysterious narrator in Disclaimer. When Stephen finds a manuscript left in the late Jonathan's room by his now also deceased wife Nancy Brigstock, he makes the decision to publish his late wife's work under his name, enacting a plot of revenge that has long festered on his conscience. Stephen's character's Disclaimer hints that his anger is rooted in grief and disaster. On the outside, Stephen presents to his colleagues and friends that he has written a book, but his internal monologue reveals that he is overwrought with grief over the loss of his wife and the prospect of retirement from his teaching position. These personal tragedies and struggles are clearly the catalyst for Stephen's vengeance against Catherine. He feels it was his wife's dying wish to take revenge on Catherine and her family for what they believe her role was in their son's death. What's the point of Disclaimer's narration? Disclaimer seeks to showcase the perils of perspective. Jonathan Brigstock, played by actor Louis Partridge, in Alfonso Cuarón's series Disclaimer. Disclaimer has gotten great reviews for flipping the typical novel disclaimer on its head, opting for the manipulative route of saying that if The Perfect Stranger bears any similarities between anyone living or dead, it is not coincidental. The differing points of view in the novel and the television adaptation depict the emotional testimonies found on all sides of a tragedy, which sows intrigue from viewers as to who is truly at fault. The second-person narration of Catherine's thoughts is likely meant to illustrate the character's sense of out-of-body anxiety and a lack of control over The Perfect Stranger's publication in the wake of her status as a public figure. The varying perspectives and anonymous narrators present in Disclaimer tie into renowned journalist Christine Amanpour's cameo at the start of episode 1, in which she warns audience members to beware of the narrative and the form. Their power can bring us closer to the truth, but they can also be a weapon with a great power to manipulate. This notion that perspective is entirely responsible for the personal and public perception of a series of events offers an in-depth analysis of what is to come throughout the show. The narrative that Catherine is responsible for Jonathan's death is presented by the Brigstocks. However, viewers may soon see that Catherine feels differently about her role in the matter. If they do, it can shift with whom the audience's sympathy lies in Disclaimer.